Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. We begin our video with a tale of petty revenge in which our young OP decided to have his say. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Author talks down to me. Sales of his book at my bookstore crashed to zero. In 2008, when I was 19, I was working for a 5-floor flagship Waterstones, Borders-ish equivalent in the UK, store, and was responsible for the floor dedicated to kids, 0 to teen, which was 40% of our sales. This was the time young adult was booming with Twilight, etc. I went to a sci-fi novel-focused convention where I was notably younger than most of the 40-plus aged attendees. Owen Colfer was a panelist talking about the blurred lines between adult and kids fiction at the time. He was there as he'd recently been announced as the author of the follow-up to 80s series Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which contains some arguably adult content and was an established kids author. For example, one of the other books that was discussed was Wicked, which came out around the same time and has very adult content but is often mistaken for a kid's book because it's based on a fairy tale. At the question section, I stood up and asked something like, what do you think about a new generation of kids who've read Artemis Fowl discovering the Hitchhikers series now, getting at the adult content in Hitchhikers, and how it might be received in the aughts versus the 80s? His response was, everyone else here will remember reading Hitchhikers as a kid. That's nothing new. Total talkdown. Made everyone in the room laugh at me and didn't even answer my damn question. So Artemis Fowl got turned spine out instead of a feature, and I changed ordering habits from bestseller to meh. This fills the shelves with variety quantities. Told the other kids' booksellers about my experience. It never got recommended again. Even people that came in directly asking for it got redirected to other great books. Remember a series of unfortunate events? Fabulous. Lemony Snicket would never talk to a young person like that. I even told many of the parents that story. The sales, which had been notable, it was a popular series, dropped to practically zero. Realized this probably had little impact on his fat paycheck, but it made me feel good. Screw that guy. Edit. Some people seem to think that since they can't understand long words or people from the British Isles, like Owen Colfer, 19-year-old me is at fault here because Colfer couldn't understand the question. Can't believe I have to point this out, but if a 50-year-old professional's response to being asked a question he doesn't understand by a 19-year-old in a sea of other mature faces is to mock them and encourage others to do so, then the outcome is the same. Screw that guy. Cheers to everyone who enjoyed the petty revenge rather than jumping to the defense of the poor defenseless millionaire who made an anxious 19-year-old feel 2 inches tall. This is why I've never wanted to meet anyone I admire. I'd rather never meet them and think highly of them than have that perception shattered by their crappy attitude. And our second story. Sister demands for payment and steals our mom. In my family, we're 4 members at the moment. My big brother, who works as an animator and is a little older than 25 years old and is moving out in a few days. Myself, who's a little less than a 20-year-old who's not working but studying. My mom, who works by herself doing overalls for kindergarten teachers and children, and finally, my sister, who's almost in her 30s and is working with my mom and is studying fashion and how to make clothes. With this little introduction, let's begin. My sister, at the age of 19, started studying as an accountant and went with it for at least 6 years in a free college where my mom would have to buy her books and give her some money for taking the bus to the college. When she was near 25 years old, she one day randomly said, I don't want to study this anymore, and just stopped going and kept going to that college. She was in less than a year and ending the career and getting a degree. After that, she begged my mom about paying her for this new career that at that moment was costing at least $207 a month. My mom at the moment was earning near $1,000 a month. My mom somehow agreed. When I became 17, I finished high school and was able to choose a college. I picked one that was $100 with all included. Materials, uniform, it would even give me a chance to work in some foreign countries. After 2 months, my mom asked to have a chat with me and told me, we're going through a rough time with money, and I decided that I'm not going to pay for your college anymore. I was devastated and angry, but I understood. If she didn't have the money, there was nothing I could do about it, except work. But in my country, it's kind of hard to find a job as a minor. I have scoliosis, so I'm kind of effed in that. But my mom kept paying my sister's college. When I found that out, I got PO'd, and there was this huge argument in my house because if there was no money, how were they paying for my sister's college, who at that moment was like 25 or 26? Like, the F. And I forgot to mention that she needed to pay other things, and not only college. Models, someone who would take photos of her clothing, people who would sew her clothes, etc., etc. It would end up in like $500 sometimes. My sister was working with my mom, and that's why they were okay with paying her college, but she wouldn't attend phone calls or even would work 1 hour a day with my mom. Meanwhile, she wasn't doing almost anything since she would pay people to do her duties in college and not work. I had to not go to college for a whole year. Fast forward to this year. Now I'm finally able to go to college because my dad's paying for it. Meanwhile, my mom is still paying for my sister's everything. A few months ago, I saw my mom crying and asked what happened. Then she explained that she lost nearly $1,000 and can't understand how. She explained that she has 2 bank accounts, the personal one and her work one. The second one's where all the work money goes when people pay her for stuff. And then she realized there's only one other person who knows the account details, my sister. At that moment, my sister wasn't home. So my mom went to her room and found $300 in cash. And it was effing suspicious since my mom never gave her that money. When she confronted my sister about it, she said something like, "Oh yeah, my boyfriend gifted that to me, haha." And my mom was so devastated that she just went, "Okay," and didn't want to argue or kick her out. My sister's now saying to my mom that she wants her payment for all these years that she didn't get money. She didn't get the money because she went for her college and all the crap she was paying for. Now today it happened again. My sister has mysterious boxes that cost $10 each, near 10 boxes, and no real job, and she keeps asking my mom for money because she doesn't get paid. Skip some details, but I would be more than glad to answer some questions. Also, I think the main problem is that she's almost in her 30s and is not actually working and is still getting everything paid. It's ungrateful AF, and let's not forget that it seems like she's stealing from her own mother. The best revenge here is to graduate, get a career you love, and live an independent life without the support of your parents. And our last story. Lawyers think they can outplay an engineer? Not on my watch. As this is my father's story, and he works as an engineer for a city that shall not be named, I'll not know everything, nor will I give any details as to the location or time that this happens. Cool? Cool. A few years ago, my father was working for a city as the leading civil engineer. His job was mostly about waste management and water systems for the entire city, though he does oversee all engineering projects. One day, my dad comes home looking utterly defeated, not his normal mood at all. I don't question it until the next day when the same thing happens. He explains the city needs new and expanded piping systems or they'll be sued. I don't know the charges or the amount of money that was on the line. 2 more days go by and the same thing happens. Tired and defeated, my dad thought there was no option but to make these changes. The changes would cost millions and would take months to plan and route. I honestly felt really bad. He'd worked so hard for the city for years, and now he was on the verge of being fired for something he didn't do. The old pipeline was planned and made decades before my dad got there. As a perspiring lawyer, it'll never happen, I wanted to look at the case and all the documents he had. I looked over them, reading super carefully. This subreddit made me think so hard on a way to maliciously comply, then it hit me. The lawsuit stated it'd be dropped if the new piping system was laid in. It never said anywhere in the case it had to be functional or used. Bingo! I told my dad about the wording, and we looked through multiple times again, just to be safe. Once we'd checked so many times we lost count, he set the plan into action. Long story short, the pipes were laid but never connected to the main sewage system. This saved millions in fees and other things for the city, saving my dad's job. The lawyers tried to fight it once they found out the pipage was not being used, but they couldn't fight it. I showed up to the court hearing to listen and watch. The opposing lawyers swore, pounded the table, popped multiple blood vessels, I'm sure, and got so red in the face when they lost, they looked like actual cherries. So happy ending. Yay! My dad got a small bonus for the idea and he kept his job. I'm now 16 and want to be an engineer like him. One day I hope to experience a story like this just so I can post here again. Edit. Okay, I realize how badly I messed up telling the story as I read comments. First of all, the city where this took place has an amazing water and septic system. The new updates that the people were suing for would have wasted public funding, even worse than our solution. The updates they wanted would benefit no one and just make the system more complicated. This new pipe system would screw up the already functional system and just cause problems. Now that I'm 16 and work as an intern/assistant for a small engineering company, I can 100% say what my dad and I did was definitely the right move. The new sewage system and water system would have screwed up a lot of things. I cannot emphasize this point enough. The previous water system is amazing, there was no need to fix it, which is why we argued against it in the first place. The city this took place in has the third best water system in the state. I promise we didn't worsen lives by doing this. Sorry for the confusion. Lastly, for the people that said I have no idea what I'm talking about, this is fake and not how it works. I have little to no idea how it works. I thought some people would enjoy this story even if I couldn't properly explain the water systems. Like I said, my dad's expertise, not mine. Hope that clears some stuff up for you guys. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.